Alright, so we know temperature affects how we live, right? Because one of the first things we do in the morning is we get up and we look at the window, we look at the news, we look at the phone, find out what is the day going to be like, right? What's the temperature? And then, of course, Florida, is it going to rain? And so there's a few terms that you need to know about. Heating degree day and cooling degree day. Okay? Heating degree day, here, let me put this on the full screen, make it look slightly nicer. Heating degree day. Okay? What that basically means is heat the building if the outside is colder than 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, Fahrenheit, right? So if it's a 50-degree day, then you do 65 minus 50, that equals 15. So that's a 15 heating degree day. Okay? So sometimes, and not very often, I've only heard it once, but sometimes on the news when the meteorologists get bored and they try to shake things up a little bit, they'll be like, well, it is a 5-degree heating day. If it's a 5-degree heating day, then you know the temperature is 60 degrees, because 65 minus 60 equals 5 degrees heating day. Okay? The opposite end is the cooling degree day. So you want to cool the building if the outside temperature is higher than 65. So if it's warmer than 65, which is like 363 days out of the year in Florida, then you're going to cool your building. And you do the exact same thing, except this time you take the temperature it is outside minus 65, right? So if it's an 80-degree day outside, it'd be like 80 degrees minus 65, 15, so it's a 15 cooling degree day. That means you cool it for 15 degrees to get to 65, right? And again, I've only heard this once on the news. Sometimes we feel like it's hotter than it is, right? And my husband drives me nuts with this kind of thing. He's, it's 96 degrees out, and he's like, oh, Google says it feels like 102. I'm like, okay, but it's only 96, but Google says it's 102. It's so hot. And then some people even try to compare it, like my dad will try and compare his weather to our weather. And he's like, oh, it's going to be 89 here. And down where you are, it's only going to be 82, so we're warmer than you guys. And I'm like, wait, is that the actual temperature? Because I'm looking it up and it says that it's only 78 up there. And he's like, yeah, but this is what it feels like, right? And so, yeah, there's a difference, and what we feel is different than what the air actually is. So that's called the apparent temperature, right? Now, this can cause heat stress. All right, so people sometimes talk about heat stress, right? And you get heat stress, and you can see this little picture of it, right? The guy's passed out. She's trying to calm down with water. Doctor's running over trying to help. And what causes heat stress? High temperature and high humidity. Gee, I don't know anywhere that has high temperature and high humidity. Do you? So when you get heat stress, basically what starts to happen is the sweat doesn't evaporate from your body. Gee, anyone walk around outside Florida? I mean, or heaven forbid you go to Disney and you walk outside Disney and you just start to sweat, right? And I mean, it just, I'm sorry to be disgusting, but it just drips off of you, right? I mean, it doesn't leave, it just drips down and it soaks your shirt, and it's just gross, right? And so because it doesn't evaporate, you actually start to feel hotter. And so this causes heat stress. And there's actually a thing called heat stress index, right? And then you get those people that live in Arizona and Nevada and all the lovely desert areas where they don't have water. And they're like, oh, it's like 100 degrees out here, but it's okay because it's a dry heat, right? And you're like, I want to kill you? Yeah. Just yeah. Right? That's basically a response. However, they're right? It's a dry heat. So if you were there, you would be outside And the sweat, you wouldn't even know that you were sweating because it would just evaporate right off. So you would have no idea. And evaporation actually keeps you cooler, so you're not as hot. Therefore, to dry heat actually is a thing. Okay. So I have to tell you about the heat index, right? Because a lot of people think Canada, oh, it's the Great White North, it's very, very cold, right? Well, again, not where I am from. And so, so on my wedding day, you can see at the bottom, it was relative humidity, and the temperature is, there you go, in Fahrenheit, right? On my wedding day, it was in the 90s, and it was almost 90% relative humidity. So this little star here, that was me outside getting my pictures done on my wedding day. Yeah. Okay, you see this is red? I wonder what red means. Fatal. Oh, well, you got a little bit in the orange maybe, right? Severe stress. Interesting, right? And then distressed and mild stress. So the people in Colorado, just because I lived in Colorado, they freak out if it gets to 30% humidity. Like, freak out. Like, I would love just to take them and drop them in Disney World and just be like, I will pay for your ticket to get in Disney. Just stand there for 2 hours. Just, please, right? They die. Like, I mean, not literally die, but oh, my friend actually did come and she was like, how do you do this? I was like, yeah, right? And like, if it gets to 30%, they freak out because it's usually here, right? And so they don't really get, I mean, they get maybe distressed, right? It's a dry heat. If we were the same thing in Florida, which, I mean, let's face it, we're basically between 80 and 100 every day. And our humidity here is 80, right? Our humidity on average is about 70. Oopsie, sorry. Okay, our humidity is about 70. Right? We're maybe distressed in the wintertime, severely stressed every other time. There's a couple times we get the fatal. Right? So this is why when you're outside going, it is so hot. Yeah, it is. Okay, now, there is another side of this. Wind chill, right? Wind chill. And again, it has to do with evaporization. Spit it out. Evaporization, right? Wind chill is the power of moving air cooling you down. So thankfully we don't really have this in Florida, but we do a little bit, right? If you're outside, and let's just say you're at Disney sweating so much, right? And then all of a sudden this breeze comes and you're just like, oh, yes, that feels so good. And then the breeze leaves and you're like, oh, wait, no, come back. Where'd you go? Come back. And then the breeze and you're like, oh, yes, I'm cooler now, right? That's wind chill. I mean, at the very, very, very small scale. That's pretty much all we can do here to appreciate that, right? But if you live somewhere cold, right? Look at these poor saps. They're out there in the snow, all bundled up like that one's got the hood. They probably have gloves on their hands that are in their pockets, right? There's a little trick you do with plastic bags. You put a plastic bag, you sock on, then plastic bag, and then your shoe keeps you warmer. And they probably have that underneath going on, right? And then the wind, right? Blowing all this stuff around, and the snow is hitting them in the face. And if you've never experienced snow, just throw ice on your face and see how it feels, right? Blowing all the snow around, and you get it to feel colder, right? So you're already like, my hands in my pockets, I've got plastic bags on my feet, I've got my hood over, I've got 6 layers on me, and then the wind comes, and it takes all that moisture in your body and evaporates it and makes you feel colder. And so here is the wind chill chart. Okay, temperature on the top with your Fahrenheit, wind. So frostbite. Okay, now let me look at these temperatures, right? 40 is the warmest that we have here. So, I mean, at nighttime in the winter, maybe we'll get down here, right? And so if you stay out for 30 minutes, your exposed skin could get frostbite, right? That's what this is saying here. And then you go into 10 minutes, and then you go into 5 minutes. This is, right here, is about freezing, right? Now, there are many temperatures that go colder than that. And I know, like I said, I'm from a part of the country of Canada that uses Fahrenheit. And so my friends are like, oh, it's 0 degrees here. And so you're just like, I'm sorry. Like, come to Florida, right? And so now you can kind of understand why there's so many stinking snowbirds around here, because they have this to deal with and they're like, nope, bye-bye.